the use of rings and hooks for doing cataract surgery in difficult situations. Now, if you look at a subluxated cataract and you have to manage that, essentially you have to first see the patient preoperatively and see as to how much is the subluxation. Now, if the subluxation is less than 3 clock hours, that is less than 90 degrees, then you have two options with you. So one is the capsular tension ring and the other is a 3-piece IOL where you could use the IOL haptic itself to kind of give the support. And if you go further, then you have CTR, or then you have to fix the CTR to the sclera, or you go on to a glued IOL. And finally, the technique that is for greater degrees of subluxation is obviously glued IOL. Dr. Amar Agarwal has given this, and Gabor Shariat have given this wonderful technique. Now, when you look at the CTR is also known as capsular tension ring. And the sizes could be between 10 millimeters to 12 millimeters and is decided by the surgeon according to what is the corneal white to white measurement. And depending upon the corneal white to white measurement, you would go in for a smaller or a larger ring. Now, what the CTR does is that it stabilizes the lens zonule complex during the surgery, as also provides a circumferential expansile force to the capsular equator, as also it provides counter traction for phaco maneuvers. It prevents intraoperative vitreous loss because the capsule is then taut, and it enhances the IOL centration both intraop as also postoperatively, and would also reduce the postoperative pseudophacodonosis. So these are the advantages of a capsular tension ring. Now, when should the ring be placed? This is often a question asked, that you know that there is a subluxated cataract. Would you place the ring right at the beginning of the surgery, after capsulotomy, or after nucleus removal, or after cortical removal? So what Bob Asher said was that when you need it and not before you have to. That means that you should actually know as to when you are losing control and you need to put in the ring. Now, this is what you want to do, but I normally do the ring right in the beginning because for me it stabilizes. Now let's just show you a case. This is a case where you can see there is subluxation. This is an injector system for the ring that's being used, which is being put. You can clearly see the subluxation. And what is also required in the phaco emulsification is low motion phaco. Vacuum should be lower, bottle height should be low, and it should be a low flow phaco which minimizes the turbulence in the bag. But there should be sufficient phaco power to cut. Preferable to use a direct chop, and when you are having towards the last piece to aspirate, you should fill it up with viscoelastic so that there isn't a trampolining of the capsule. Irrigation and aspiration, what is important is that the capsular tension ring, the cortex gets embedded below it, so you have to do a radial kind of a maneuver or a circumferential maneuver which needs to be done. This is a modification which reduces the problem of the aspiration of the cortex because of these indentations. Now, when you go on to the next situation, this was a situation earlier one that I showed which was about 3 o'clock. When you go to a next situation, you will require a ring that needs to be fixated through an eyelet. So you have an eyelet, you pull it forward and you fixate the ring. This is the Sionis ring that you have. This is what you need to see, that this is a needle which is a straight needle with a tenoproline suture, non-degradable suture, and you have made these flaps and you are pulling this suture out, and as you pull this suture out, you are getting the ring now in. So the ring cannot be pushed in by an injector system because there is an eyelet. There is a Sionis eyelet here, so you cannot pull it into an injector system. So you have to manually put this, and you can see that a suture has already been tied. This is a tenoproline. If you can see that, that's coming into view. That is the tenoproline which is there, and this is slowly and gently put into the capsular bag. So you will see it going into the capsular bag. It is important here that you do not break the ring, and putting the ring into the capsular bag is important. So see this, we are using 2 hands and the ring goes into the bag. There you see that the ring has gone into the bag, but the eyelet will come on top of the bag. So you see when we will pull, the eyelet will pull it, and you have the ring in the bag, and there you see that's the eyelet. This loop it will be over the capsular bag. So this is what you do, and then you go ahead and finish the surgery. Now, everything is not over, still it is actually over. In this particular case, you can see that we have used the capsular retraction we have done to stabilize the capsule with the iris hooks, but you could also have capsular hooks which are there. And now we are putting in what is the endocapsular ring. Now the surgery will go on uneventfully, as you will see here. There you can see that the surgery is, we are putting in the ring, and that's the aspiration. Once you have done the aspiration, it's a soft cataract. And now look here, we are trying to put in a scleral fixated lens, so we are trying to enlarge. Just watch here. See the tip of the blade, and there you see we are ripping the capsule on this side. Just watch it. And there you see that's the capsule that's got ripped, and you can see the movement of the ring. So you need to be very careful if you have these hooks which are there and the capsule is being pulled, and such a situation can cause you a problem and you will have to abort the procedure at that particular time. Now let's go on to the glued IOL. The glued IOL is used in such circumstances where you have a gross subluxation. You can see that's a glued IOL. Now when you go on to the rings also come as anhydric segments or as anhydric IOLs. And these anhydric segments can be used as double layers to block the whole thing. You can see here, this is an anhydric segment which is for a single sector iridotomy, where there is a huge iridotomy that is there, and you can see that this segment would cover this. Now this is anhydric segments from Morcher which I use. I have no financial interest with this, but they do not leach the pigment and they give you dark black color. So this is one ring segment, and this is the second ring segment that is being put, and they will work like a windshield wiper. So you have two of them intertwining with each other, and then you can go ahead and put the intraocular lens. So you can see this is one segment and the second segment that has been done. So you gently rotate it, and you can see now the IOL is being put. So this is post-operative picture of the anhydric segments, and then you have iris prosthesis systems, and this is an anhydric lens that you can see which has been used in a post-traumatic case. Now the hooks can be used specially for small pupils, and nowadays with an increasing incidence of IFIS, you use it for floppy iris, and you can use the iris expanders also. So these are nylon hooks with salistic sleeve, and the anterior chamber is deepened with viscoelastic, and you place these four hooks symmetrically, and you can use them as you can see here. Now when you are using it in case of an IFIS, you could use one hook here, because otherwise you have two hooks, and from the incision when you are doing the phacoemulsification, the iris tends to come out from there. So under those circumstances you could use a hook at this particular point. Now the disadvantages of the hooks are that it raises the iris platform between the iris hooks due to improper placement. Iris prolapse can happen because if you have an improperly constructed side port, and you could also tear the capsule if you are pulling it too far. Descemet's membrane detachment can happen, and the pupil can get entangled. Now this is the case, one-eyed patient with a corneal opacity. Patient is on tamsulosin, and you can see that this patient has a non-dilating pupil, and it's a rock hard cataract. So under these circumstances, I am going to use the hooks. You will see the problems. This is the first incision that is being made. We have made the incision. Now we have put in trypan blue. Viscoelastic is being put in. And there you see that's the incision. The moment I make the incision, you will be able to see that we are now putting the hooks up. The main incision I normally prefer to make because it will help you in the manipulation of the hooks. It's easier to put the hooks if you want. This is the second hook that is being put. So I am going to use 3 hooks and not 4 hooks, because the adherent glaucoma itself is working like a hook. So you go ahead like this, and this is the third one that is being put, and we're doing the capsulotomy. Now what is going to be important for you is to also consider the problem of iris prolapse. So this is the hydrodissection that is being done, and just see the floppy iris that is going to come out. This is for the chopper that we are making the incision, and just see this. Can you see this? The iris coming out, and that's a problem. So you have to deepen and you could disinsert the iris at this maneuver. If you are going, so the bevel needs to be upside down and then go in and use the bevel properly. So this is what is required, and then you go ahead and do the phacoemulsification, and you are able to get through this procedure safely as you can. Now let's go on to ring expanders. These are better than iris hooks, and you can see this is a perfect pupil by Milverton. Then you have the Morcher's pupil dilator, and you also have the Malugan ring. This is the Greth-Harbor 2000 pupil expander, which will keep the pupil. What these do is that they do not cause sphincteric atrophic at the 4 points where you are usually, there could be sphincteric tears when you are using iris hooks, so they are more gentle, but they are more expensive. The Malugan ring system, I'll just show you. This was made by Boris Malugan, and it comes in two sizes of 6.25 and 7 millimeters. And you can see that this is to be taken out at the end of the surgery, and it gives you a round pupil, as you can see. So this is my final video. This is a Malugan ring that is being used in a patient with an interior chamber lens, and we are going to do a glued IOL along with a DASIK corneal surgery. So this is a flap that is being made. As you can see, this is a corneal flap that has been made. Then you go in from the other side of the corneal flap, do some vitrectomy. We made a scleral incision because it's a large PMMA lens, and you can see that's a Kelman anterior chamber lens. You have to be gentle. You see that there are adhesions here, so you have to be gently disinserting these adhesions, and then you just withdraw out the anterior chamber Kelman's lens. Now, after you have done this, because we need better visualization, this is a Malugan ring that is being inserted. So a Malugan ring goes in, and you can expand the pupil, and you can see that we get a good visualization now. Once you have got this good visualization, we will go ahead and do the anterior vitrectomy that is required to be done, and then we go ahead with a lens which is a 3-piece lens with haptics which are not of the same material. So these are not acrylic material haptics, but these are Prolene or PMMA haptics which are there. You push in the lens, you can see we are pushing in the lens, and we are taking out the haptic from both the sides, as is the technique that has been described by Dr. Amar Agarwal. So once you have the haptics which are out, you can see that's the haptic which is being brought out. I'll just go forward. And that's after the glued IOL has been fixed, we will remove the Malugan ring. So you can see that we have removed the Malugan ring. Once the Malugan ring has been removed, this is the for the DASIK that we are taking the lenticle, the donor that is there, and then you push in air. Now there is hypotony, and you can see there is a slight displacement. So the lenticle is being brought to the center. You can see it has been brought to the center. We put in a lot of air, and it is now tight, and we will put in the glue, and this will be the end of the surgery. So this is to show you that the post-op pictures, 1 day, 1 week, and you can see the OCT image which is showing a good DASIK lenticle which is adherent. So friends, you have rings and hooks which are a safety net for you. They can be used to stabilize the capsule and allow successful phacoemulsification and IOL implantation in cases of subluxation. And the pupil expanding materials that you use, the rings and the iris hooks that dilate and stabilize the iris during phacoemulsification in cases of non-dilating pupils and in cases of floppy iris. So they are your lifeline in such cases, and you should use them to the best of your ability to get through in difficult cases. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.